Hello students, welcome to the English class. Today in this session, in this class, I am going to continue with the same chapter that we began in the last class, that is the making of a scientist, written by Robert W. Peterson. So in this chapter, in the last class we had read about the great scientist named Richard H. Ebright, who is a well known scientist and who contributed significantly to biochemistry and molecular biology. And he had been interested in science since his boyhood, and at the age of 22, he excited the scientific world with a new theory, and it was concerned with the working of cells. And Ebright and his college roommate explained the theory in an article, and it was published in a journal entitled Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. And it was first of his many achievements in the field of science. And it started with his studies on butterflies. Ebright was the only child of his parents, and they lived in north of Reading, Pennsylvania. There was nothing for Ebright to do there. He had no companions and he was not a good player also, but his hobby was collecting things. So Ebright got fascinated by butterflies and he started collecting butterflies when he was in the nursery class or he was in kindergarten. And he also collected rocks, fossils and coins. And he also became a stargazer and an eager astronomer. Ebright's mother was a very good friend of Ebright, as he was the only child of his parents, and they lived in north of Reading, Pennsylvania. And Ebright, as there was nothing to do, as I told you that he started collecting things, he collected many things, and his mother recognized his curiosity and encouraged him. She took him on trips. She also bought him telescope, microscopes, camera and other equipments so that he could follow his hobbies. And Ebright's mother acted as a friend, a very good friend, until he started school. And when he would, and what she used to do, she used to bring home friends to him, and she was her whole life after her husband's death. Then Ebright's mother would find work for Richie if he had nothing to do, and she found learning tasks for him. He had a great hunger for learning since childhood, and he earned top grades in school. By the time he was in the second grade, he had collected 25 species of butterflies, and these were found around in hometown. And one day his mother gave him a children's book which opened the world of science to him. And that book was The Travels of Monarch 10, and it described how monarch butterflies migrate to Central America. And this book fascinated him. And at the end of the book, readers were invited to help study butterfly migrations. And they were asked to tag butterflies for research by Dr. Frederick A. Urquhart of Toronto University, Canada. And anyone who found a tagged butterfly was asked to send the tag to Dr. Urquhart. Then Ebright started tagging monarch butterflies. And the butterfly collecting season around Reading lasts only 6 weeks, and that is in the late summers. And he realized that chasing the butterflies one by one won't enable him to catch many. So he decided to raise a flock of butterflies, and he would catch a female monarch and take her eggs. Then he would raise them in his basement from egg to caterpillar to pupa to adult butterfly. Then he would tag the butterfly's wings and let them go. However, soon Ebright began to lose interest in tagging butterflies, as it was a very tedious task. And so another reason was that there was no feedback. He was a little disappointed as only 2 butterflies had been recaptured, and they had been found not more than 75 miles from where he lived. And by the time Ebright reached the 7th grade, he got busy with other scientific experiments. He entered a county science fair, which we are going to read now what happened over there in the county fair. Further, the chapter says, then in the 7th grade, he got a hint of what real science is when he entered a county science fair and lost it. It was really a sad feeling to sit there and not get anything, while everybody else had won something, Ebright said, and his entry was slides of frog tissues, which he showed under a microscope. He realized the winners had tried to do real experiments, not simply make a neat display. Already, the competitive spirit that drives Richard Ebright was appearing. I knew that for the next year's fair I would have to do a real experiment, he said. And the subject I knew most was about the insect work I had been doing in the past several years. So, in these paragraphs, the word county means region. So, here in these lines, narrator says that when Richard was in the 7th class, he came to know what real science was when he lost at the county or the regional science fair. And it was really sad feeling for him to see all other people win something or the other while he did not win anything. And he showed, as he had showed, frog tissue slides under a microscope. But soon he realized that all the winners had actually tried to perform an experiment and not just make a neat display out of their projects. And he had already started developing the competitive spirit inside him. Now he had decided that he would make a real project for the next year's fair. And he thought that he had maximum knowledge about the subject of insects as he had been studying them for quite some time. So now let's see further what he did. Then further it is written, so he wrote to Dr. Ockert for ideas and back came a stack of suggestions. Stack means collection of suggestions, or you can say pile of objects for experiments. Those kept Ebright busy all through high school and led to prize projects in county and international science fairs. For his 8th grade project, Ebright tried to find the cause of viral disease that kills nearly all monarch caterpillars every few years. Ebright thought the disease might be carried by a beetle, and he tried raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. I didn't get any real results, he said, but I went ahead and showed that I had tried the experiment, and this time I won. So in these lines, the word viral means of the nature of or caused by or relating to a virus or viruses. So here in these lines, the narrator says that after that he wrote to Dr. Ockert for ideas and he sent back a lot of ideas for his next year's project because Richard Ebright, he always had a competitive spirit and he wanted to win. So he wrote to Dr. Ockert for the ideas and there came several ideas which he could take for the next year's project, and he remained busy with those ideas all throughout the high school and won many prizes. And in his 8th class he tried to find the cause of viral disease that killed nearly all monarch caterpillars every few years, and Ebright thought that the disease was being transmitted through beetles. So he started raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. It was of no use, but when he showed that he had tried such an experiment, he won something for his project. And for the next year, now we see that what he tried. The next year's science fair was testing the theory that viceroy butterflies copy monarchs. The theory was that viceroys look like monarchs because monarchs don't taste good to birds. Viceroys, on the other hand, do taste good to birds. So, the more they look like monarchs, the less likely they are to become a bird's dinner. Ebright's project was to see whether, in fact, birds would eat monarchs, and he found that a starling would not eat ordinary bird food, and it would eat all the monarchs it could get. Ebright said later research by other people showed that viceroys probably do copy the monarch. And this project was placed first in the zoology division and third overall in the county science fair. So in these lines, now the narrator says, for next year science fair he tried the theory that viceroy butterflies copy monarchs, and he put forward the theory that viceroy butterflies look like monarchs because monarchs do not taste good to the birds and the birds like to eat viceroys. So the more the viceroy looked like the monarch, the less likely it is that viceroy would be eaten by a bird. And he wanted to show in this project that would a bird eat a monarch or not, and he found out that the sterling bird would prefer eating a monarch. And later the research showed that the viceroys copied the monarchs. And this project won him the first division in the zoology department and the third overall position in the county science fair. Then further it says, in the second year in high school, Richard Ebright began the research that led to his discovery of an unknown insect hormone. Indirectly, it also led to his new theory on the life of cells. The question he tried to answer was simple. What is the purpose of the 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa? And everyone assumed the spots were just ornamental, Ebright said. But Dr. Hooker didn't believe it. To find the answer, Ebright and another excellent science student first had to build a device that showed that the spots were producing a hormone necessary for the butterfly's full development. And this project won Ebright's first place in the county fair and entry into the International Science and Engineering Fair. There he won third place for zoology. He also got a chance to work during the summer at entomology laboratory of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. As a high school junior, Richard Ebright continued his advanced experiments on the monarch pupa. That year, his project won first place at the International Science Fair and gave him another chance to work in the Army laboratory during the summer. In his senior year, he went a step further. He grew cells from a monarch's wing in a culture and showed that the cells would divide and develop into normal butterfly wing scales only if they were fed the hormone from the gold spots. And the project won first place for zoology at the International Fair. He spent the summer after graduation doing further work at the Army laboratory and at the laboratory of the US Department of Agriculture. The following summer, after his freshman year at Harvard University, Ebright went back to the laboratory of the Department of Agriculture and did more work on the hormone from the gold spots. And using the laboratory's sophisticated instruments, he was able to identify the hormone's chemical. So now let's see to the meaning of all the hard words in this paragraph. In these paragraphs, insect hormone are the hormone of all insects. Tiny is little or small. Spots means marks. Assumed means thought or presumed. And ornamental are the showy ones. An excellent, very fine. Device means an instrument. Entomology laboratory means science relating to insects. And culture means process of testing in a lab. Fed means given food. And graduation means stage of getting a degree or diploma. And sophisticated is very advanced. So, in these lines, the narrator says that during the second year of high school, Richard started a research from which he found about an unknown insect hormone that later helped him in his new theory about the life of cells as well. And the question from where the research started was very simple. So, too, what was the purpose of 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa? And most of the people said that the spots were made for making it look more decorative. But Dr. Ocker did not believe in what others said. And to find out the answer to this question, Ebright and another excellent science student together made a device that proved that these spots produced a hormone necessary for the complete development of a butterfly from a pupa. And with this, Ebright won the first prize at the county science fair and the entry into the science international science and engineering fair. And there his project won third prize for zoology. He also got a chance to work at the entomology laboratory of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, and he continued his work with the monarch pupa as a high school junior, and that led him to win first prize at the international science fair. And after winning this prize, he got a chance to work at the army laboratory during summers. And during his senior year, he tried another experiment in which he grew cells from a monarch's wing in a culture and showed that cells would divide and develop into a normal butterfly wing scales, provided that they were treated with a hormone from the gold spots. This research of his won the first prize at the international fair, and he spent his summer after graduation doing more research on the subject at the Army Laboratory and the laboratory of US Department of Agriculture. Then he worked some more on the hormones released from the gold spots during the following summers at the laboratory of the Agriculture Department, and he identified the chemical structure of the hormone using the lab's special equipment. The next paragraph says, a year and a half later, during his junior year, Ebright got the idea for his new theory about cell life, and it came while he was looking at X-ray photos of the chemical structure of a hormone. When he saw those photos, Ebright didn't shout Eureka or even I've got it, but he believed that along with his findings about insect hormones, the photos gave him the answer to one of the biology's puzzles, how the cell can read the blueprint of its DNA. So this was a puzzle. And DNA is the substance in the nucleus of a cell that controls heredity. It determines the form and function of the cell. Thus, DNA is the blueprint for life. So, in these lines, the narrator says that now, after 1.5 years, Ebright got the idea for his new theory, which was about the cell life. And the idea came to him when he was looking at the X-ray photos of the chemical structure of the hormone. He did not get excited about his discovery as soon as he found it, but came to realization that his years of study on the insect hormone had solved one of the puzzles of biology, and it had solved the mystery of how cells read the blueprint of its DNA. And he also found that as the DNA is in the nucleus of a cell that controls heredity, therefore it determines the form and function of a cell. Hence, DNA is the blueprint of life. Then further, the next paragraph says, Ebright and his college roommate James R. Wong worked all that night drawing pictures and constructing plastic models of nucleus of molecules to show how it could happen. Together, they later wrote the paper that explained the theory. Surprising, no one knew him. Richard Ebright graduated from Harvard with the highest honors, second in his class of 1510. Then Ebright went on to become a graduate student researcher at Harvard Medical School. There he began doing experiments to test his theory. If the theory proves correct, it will be a big step towards understanding the processes of life. It might also lead to new ideas for preventing some types of cancer and other diseases. All of this is possible because of Ebright's scientific curiosity. His high school research into the purpose on the spots on a monarch pupa eventually led him to his theory about cell life. So, in these lines, the narrator says then Ebright and his roommate made drawings and plastic models for the theory, which showed how it was possible, and later wrote a paper which explained the process. And it did not surprise the people who knew him that he graduated from Harvard with highest honors and stood second in his class among 1510 students. And he then became a graduate student researcher at the Harvard University and also started doing practical experiments to test his theory. It was expected that if the theory proved to be correct, then it would be a big step towards understanding the complex system of life and also would lead to new ideas for preventing certain types of cancer and other diseases. So, this showed how his research on the monarch pupa led him to the theory about cell life. Then further, next paragraph says Richard Ebright has been interested in science since he first began collecting butterflies, but not so deeply that he hasn't time for other interests. Ebright also became a champion debater and public speaker and a good canoeist and all-round outdoors person. He is also an expert photographer, particularly of nature and scientific exhibits. In high school, Richard Ebright was a straight A student because learning was easy. He turned a lot of his energy towards the debating and Model United Nations Club. He also found someone to admire, that is Richard A. Wierer, his social studies teacher and advisor to both clubs. Mr. Wierer was the perfect person for me then. He opened my mind to new ideas, Ebright said, and Richard would always give that extra effort, Mr. Wierer said. What pleased me was there was this person who put in 3 or 4 hours at night during doing deep debate research besides doing all his research with butterflies and his other interests. Richard was competitive, Mr. Wierer continued, but not in a bad sense. He explained. Richard wasn't interested in winning for winning's sake or winning to get a prize. Rather, he was winning because he wanted to do best job he could. For the right reasons, he wants to be the best. And that is one of the ingredients in the making of a scientist. Start with the first-rate mind, add curiosity and mix in well to win for the right reasons. Ebright has these qualities. From the time the book The Travels of Monarch 10 opened the world of science to him, Richard Ebright has never lost his scientific curiosity. So, in all these lines, the word debater means a person who argues about a subject, especially in a formal manner, and a canoeist is someone who is skilled at racing and performing tests of skill in a canoe. Canoe is a boat. And exhibits means manifest clearly, or a quality or a type of behavior. Admire means regard with respect or warm approval. And competitive means relating to or characterized by competition. And ingredients is a component, part or element of something. So, now in these lines, the narrator says he had been keen in science ever since he started collecting butterflies. But this did not keep him away from his other interests in life, and he was a champion debater a general public speaker, and a good boat racer, that is, canoeist. He was also an all round outdoor sports person, along with being an expert photographer. He was great at capturing nature and scientific subjects. As he was a great student and always used to score good, he used to focus his extra energy on debating and model United Nations clubs. He also used to admire his social studies teacher and an advisor to both clubs, that is Mr. Richard A. Weir. Ebright thought that his teacher was the right man, as he was the one who used to open his mind to new ideas. And his teacher was very much impressed with the fact that how Ebright would give an extra 3-4 hours of effort at night for the debate research apart from the time that he used to give to his butterfly research and his other interests. He added that he was competitive, but not in a bad sense, because he did not win to get prizes or for the sake of winning, but because he wanted to be the best at whatever he did. And this is what makes a good scientist. And he needs a first rated mind along with curiosity and an added will to win for the right reasons. And since the time Richard's mother got him the book about migration of monarchs, his curiosity towards science has just grown. So this was in the chapter. Now we are going to discuss few questions which would make the chapter more clear to you. Now we'll discuss the questions which was on the page, the very first page of the chapter. Read and find out. The very first question was, how did the book become a turning point in Richard Ebright's life? So for this you can write that after Richard had collected all the 25 species of butterflies that were found in his surroundings, he thought that it would be an end to butterfly collection when his mom bought him a book named Travels of Monarch 10, which told him about new butterflies migrated to Central America. And this book aroused an interest in him for exploring more of what was to come and started studying more about monarch butterflies. Then the next question says, how did his mother help him? So as we had read the chapter, we have seen that his mother was the one who helped him, who always supported him and got him everything that he required to find his or for the further experiments. So we can say that his mother played a turning role in the life of the scientist, as she used to buy him telescopes, microscopes, cameras, mounting equipments, and used to try to help him by getting him things to learn in the evening when he used to be free. And she also used to take him out on field trips, and the book Travels of Monarch 10 was also bought by her. So we can say that the mother played a very important role in the making of what Richard was. Then now the other questions on page number 34. The first question is, what lesson does Ebright learn when he does not win anything at a science fair? So we can say that he learned that just by showing neat and clean simple slides won't make him win anything, but the actual experiment that he will perform will help him win the prize at any fair. Then the next question says, what experiments and projects does he then undertake? For this we can say that he did an experiment to see the cause of the viral disease that kills nearly all the monarchs after a few years, and also took up a project to prove that the viceroy butterflies copy monarchs in order to survive by behaving like them. The next question is, what are the qualities that go into making of a scientist? So we can say that according to the chapter, there are 3 qualities that a person needs to have to be a scientist. Firstly, a first rated mind, secondly, curiosity, and thirdly, the will to win for the right reasons. Now, let us discuss the main moral of the story. So, what is the main objective or moral of this story? With this story, the narrator wants to encourage the learners for their inclination towards beginning with small discoveries and inculcate the habits thereof, and to make them learn about Richard and his journey to become scientist. And thirdly, to understand what is biography and the biographical element of Richard E. Bright through this lesson. And then the role play of variety of people in E. Bright's life, and the learners, with this the learners can get the knowledge of various stage, species and growth of butterflies, and learners can get ample knowledge about the theory of cell. And the conclusion of this story of making of a scientist is that the story teaches us that with perseverance, dedication and hard work, any dream is achievable. So with this we end up with this chapter. Hope you all have understood it clearly, and if you have any doubt you can call me. Thank you and goodbye.